we have AAFC's Erica Fava and University of Guelph's Vanessa Curry. I believe Erica is starting us off, and then Vanessa will be joining us. But they are going to be bringing us an update from the 2024 National Potato Variety Trials. So thank you very much, Erica. You can take it away.
So thank you to Potatoes in Canada for the opportunity to talk to you today. I am going to share with you some of the AAFC highlights from the National Potato Variety Trials in 2024. And this represents the effort and accomplishments of many people across Canada within and outside of AAFC. So a little bit of an overview. I wanted to start off with the commercialization models, just in case I run out of time, and how to obtain the lines from AAFC. And then I'll move on to the objectives of the projects of the project, the site locations and collaborators, and a summary of the 2024 more advanced lines that we have in the trials. So to get started, after the National Potato Variety Trials, our selections can be taken up by industry members to test on their own farms or through the coordinated trials that Vanessa will be talking about. And if there's still interest in the lines, they may be then registered as a commercial variety and be marketed. So the way that is happening has been evolving. Right now we have two mechanisms that we are working with. The consortium or club model for the fry processors. Essentially, the processors pay into the breeding program a club fee, and that gives them non-exclusive access to the lines within the French fry lines within our program. But let's say there's a French fry line that isn't suitable for processing. That can then go through the other mechanism. This model has been really great for our program because we've had a lot of direct communication with the members, which has helped our selection decisions and our cross decisions. And it has also given us some stable funding to run the program. For the fresh market and chip selections within the current cluster, we will be offering them up non-exclusively to those who have contributed to the breeding program. So the benefit is that it gives equal access to AAFC lines to those who have actively participated in the program. However, right now the money, it's the money from the cluster project that helps support the breeding activities. And we're a little bit concerned because we've heard that in the next round of cluster funding, so from 2029 on, there won't be money for variety development in that cluster. So we need a new model for the future, and hopefully one that will also encourage a lot of feedback into the breeding activities, help support our breeding activities, and provide successful varieties that are valuable to Canadian growers. Whoops. Okay, so how to get some of our AAFC lines. I would say that it's really important to go to a lot of the field days in your area to get a firsthand look at the lines. I also send out reports each year with data from all the sites. So take a look at those and definitely get in touch with me or the person in your area that's running the trials. Let us know which ones are looking interesting to you. And if you want to trial a line, reach out to me and I'll do my best to make that happen. Finally, I thought I would show everyone that there's this link where you can see which varieties are available for non-exclusive licensing. Right now, we have some older lines on there, but we will be adding to this list. And on the site, there's also contact information for myself and also for Andrea Bizo, who is the commercialization officer. All right, so whoops, sorry. So the overall objectives for the project is really to come up with a superhero type potato that has heat and drought tolerance, disease and pest resistance, that matures early and has long-term storage, maintains quality and storage, and of course has competitive yields. That's an awful lot to ask of one potato, so we're doing our best to work towards those goals. I have pictures here of some of the testing that we do to evaluate disease resistance and pest problems. So on the right-hand side here, we do inoculate leaves with late blights to see how they'll react. We also take Colorado potato beetles larvae and put them on leaf discs and evaluate how much they eat. And we inoculate tubers to see how susceptible the tubers are to Fusarium dry rot. We also have field trials for scab and Vercillium, or early dying. So here's a list of our national trial locations. I have added in the planting and harvest dates for 2024, but mostly I wanted you to see that we are trying the selections in the provinces where they grow that market type. So Manitoba and Quebec, for example, we have actually 2 sites there, one that's more suitable for French fries and one that's more suitable for fresh market and chip. And I also wanted to point out to you that the irrigated sites are really in the western half of the province where irrigation is more prominent. So Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. So now I would like to get into some of the results for this year. So I have given a breakdown here of the number of selections for each market type and at each stage. Mostly I just wanted to say here that the selections in the trials, we break them down into 3 stages: Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. The Tier 1 selections have been in the trial, it's their first year in the trial. Tier 2, they're being trialed for the 2nd year, and Tier 3 for the 3rd year. Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to mention on this slide is that for the fresh market category, our program really mostly concentrates on the fresh market reds. However, as we're making selections, if there's something that's looking promising, either in the white or yellow category, we'll keep those, but that's one of the reasons why the number here is so low. All right, so we're going to start off with fresh market. The bar graph has the percentage from each size category as a 3-year average. So the purple bars at the bottom are the culls. The more lavender color is the Canada small. The blue is Canada #1, and the light blue is Canada large. I've also highlighted Columba here just because this is a new check that we've added into the national trials this year. So the information that's being presented here is only for 2024, whereas all the other lines have a 3-year average. I've also grouped the reds on the left-hand side of your screen and the yellow whites on the right-hand side. And I've given you the marketable yields in hundredweight per acre, as well as the total yields for each of the entries in the trial. And I'm sure you've noticed, but I've also put a smiley face on a couple of the lines. And that's because these are ones that received some favorable feedback at the field days this year. So this BF 17008926 had positive feedback at the field days in Alberta, Manitoba, and PEI. However, it was mentioned that the size profile was a concern. And based on the average data from all 3 years and sites, we see that although the total yields are comparable to Norland, the marketable yields are quite low, and this is partially due to the size profile. 17114-01, it has a better distribution and better marketable yields, but it's still lower than the checks. On the white/yellow side, we see that 4506 had positive feedback from the field days in BC, Alberta, New Brunswick, and PEI. Its total and marketable yields are similar to Yukon Gold, and the size distribution is also similar to Yukon Gold. So this is seeming like a promising line. Let's look at that one a little bit more closely. So here for this line, I'm giving you some more details. And I'm giving you some more specific information. For example, the length to width ratio, the specific gravity numbers. And for those ones, I've even divided them up into an Eastern average and a Western average, as well as the overall Canadian average. I did that because the specific gravities are often much higher in the West. And I did the same for marketable yield because, again, in the West, we tend to have higher yields. So just so people are aware of what it actually looks like across the country a little bit more. I'm going to skip this climate box because it takes a little bit of explaining, and I'm running out a little bit on time. So I'm just going to move on to the next slide.
Yes, and actually, Erica, if we are able to do the switch over to ensure that Vanessa, maybe if Vanessa wants to pop on and we can start the transition as this session goes until 1:35, so that we want to have time for our Q&A as well.
Yeah, so just I was going to show similar information for the chips. We do take information in storage and evaluate the quality that way. And the same thing for the French fries. We look at the fry color as well in storage. So I apologize for going over time. I did want to thank the Fruit and Vegetable Growers of Canada for funding the project. And if anybody wants a copy of their information, of the presentation, feel free to email me.
All right, so We are going to turn it over to Vanessa Curry now. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to get my presentation ready here. Okay, just welcome everybody, and thank you for joining. I just wanted to, in cooperation with Erica, who takes care of the Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada lines, I'm presenting today on behalf of the non-AFC researchers, also known as the industry, even though I'm at a university. And so the research integrates a capacity from public and private organizations to improve potato production. And the National Potato Variety Trial Network leverages the expertise from across Canada and is a critical aspect of the potato breeding pipeline in Canada. We really need our own stable of Canadian varieties for food sustainability. And the goal of the network is to ensure new improved Canadian adapted varieties become available to Canadian companies and growers. More specifically, the project aims to breed these new varieties with a suite of traits which enable the Canadian potato industry to thrive amid mounting societal and environmental pressures. This success will be realized through resistant varieties with the capacity to thrive under the variable and extreme conditions of a changing climate. And because we're partners with everybody across the country, each region is able to cater a little bit to their own markets, but yet we collaborate on a national scale and tie everything together through the researchers. And so these researchers are in Alberta, Dr. Chandra Singh and Michelle Constash. And BC, we have ES Crop Consultants from Heather Meeberg and Jen McFarland. And Manitoba, Dr. Tracy Shinners-Carnelli at Peak of the Market, and Debbie, got that hidden there. Sorry, go back. Darren Gibson at Gaia Consulting, and myself and Dr. Katarina Jordan in Ontario, and in Quebec, Andre Gagnon and Samuel Gagnon at Progest. So the reports from BC, they had some interesting varieties in the 2024 trial, included Musica, a yellow variety that had the highest yield, over 35 tons per acre, with great uniformity and overall appearance, and AG 1540, a red variety that yielded over 32 tons per acre and had great uniformity and performed well for a second year in a row, yielding over 29 tons. Oh, that was Sifra, pardon me, Sifra shone at field day and scored well in overall appearance. In Alberta, they had a field day. They had about 60 people and a total of 14 varieties, 2 reds, 2 yellows, 6 russets, and 4 chippers in their trial. And in Manitoba, the best performing varieties were among the reds, Fenway Red and Red Prairie. In the yellows, Columba, Actrice, Agata. And in the russets, Caribou Russet. And in the whites, Volare. And in Ontario, this was our first time testing Columba, which Erica mentioned. A very attractive tubers, good yield. I'm going to say not quite as high quality in the boiling and baking tests as the Yukon Gold. Eva was a little bit disappointing, and Atlantic and Lamoka were chipping standards that performed as expected. We had trials at our Aurora research station for main crop and fresh and chip lines. We also included this year the Simcoe research station, which is 2 climate zones south of Aurora, a heat tolerance trial in which we tested the AFC lines. And we had excellent results in that trial. That's shown in the picture. And looking forward to continuing that to determine which lines may be most resilient to climate change. And in Leamington, Ontario, at a grower site, we do an early maturing chip trial in our continued search for the July chipper and find field chippers with good yield and that grow under the very warm summer temperatures in southwestern Ontario. In our fresh market, we had Bond, which was an attractive and had good yield and good culinary quality. AG 1540 had excellent yield, slightly rough, some of the larger ones, but overall it was a good sizer. And the 556-1 was a nice, really good sizer, large, round to oval, smooth white skin and yellow flesh. And moving forward in our chip trial, Dundee is a good long-term storage that we've been looking at for several years. And from the AFC release program, F1632-06, makes for a really good field chip and is also showing some storage potential. And the results from Quebec, from Andre and Samuel, they said none of their checks were really nice, but they had nice yield for Elmo and a bit of lack of uniformity. And Russet Burbank and Campania had better uniformity. And the best performing varieties in the trial in Quebec were Eva with a nice yield, nice uniformity and high marketable yield, Columba, and also had a very nice, appealing look. And from that, also from that trial, AG 1540 was oblong and a nice red skin potato, very large yield. They did really well with that one. They also had a white chipping cultivar, MSFF. I don't have a picture of it here, 031-6. And for fresh market whites, CRPTQ 17047, which had a very high yield of 520-300 weights per acre. And our project is generously funded through the Canadian Agri-Science Cluster for Horticulture 4 in cooperation with the AAFC and the Agri-Science Program and the Fruit and Vegetable Growers of Canada, and very numerous industry contributors and partners, and also excellent functional partners. So I think that's, I'll stop there.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation, Vanessa, as well as Erica. If she is still on the line, we are actually going to have her come back if needed for the questions. We currently have no questions in the Q&A. I will say to Abdul, who asked a question that Vikram did not have time to answer, either if Vikram is still around, perhaps he can type his answer during the upcoming break, or you could pose your question to Vikram via his email. So we're just going to dismiss this question for now. However, if anyone in the audience has any outstanding questions about the variety trials for Erica and Vanessa, please type them in the Q&A now before we get off to our break.
I will say that I do have reports and detailed results for the trials. And if anybody wants those, they can reach out to me directly through email. And I can send them a report, either a real printed report or an electronic copy, especially if there's specific questions about some of the varieties that they know have been tested in different regions.
Well, this attendee wants to know any outstanding warm climate varieties.
I think that the varieties that we had in our Simcoe trial, they all did really well. And part of that, I think, was just part of it is early maturing. I mean, if you want varieties to do well in warmer regions, you've got to get them in, get them grown, and get them out in short succession. So we're continuing to work on those varieties that are adapted for warmer climates. And I can provide more specific answers to that.
All right, and we do have one more. Oh, from Aaron. We would be interested in participating in these trials in the Yukon. Would this be possible?
Yeah, we're always looking for places to do the trials. The issue is really getting funding to have. So we've been lucky in the other provinces. We've gotten a lot of industry funding, as Vanessa has said. I think we would also have to wait for the next round, but we might be able to start off slowly. You should get in touch with me, Aaron.
Yes, that's what this event is all about, is connecting the industry. Abdul asks, can TDD formula for maturity, I'm not sure, I can't quite read this, or determination in potato? I think there might be a typo there. If either of you can decipher that. TDD formula for maturity, determination in potato? Not quite sure on that. Oh, and we've got two more questions as well. Aaron asks Erica if you could share your email. Did not quite catch it, so I don't know if you have that on the screen, or if it's an easy one for folks to write down. and she is currently typing it. So everyone else keep an eye on the Q&A. We also have another anonymous question. Is there much focus on insect or virus resistance? Are there many varieties coming through with this?
Yeah, so our program has really been focusing on disease resistance and viruses in particular. We test all of our selections fairly early on for PVX, PVY in particular. We have a number of selections now with PVX resistance, and we're starting to build up more lines with PVY resistance. So I would say, again, just keep a lookout for our data reports, or if you want to be added to the mailing list, please reach out to me, and you can have that information.